Today is November 2nd, 2024. I said this in 2023. I also said this in 2022. Time has progressed, and although I made progress, the progress has been slow and arduous. perhaps perhaps now that I have some sort of warm and fuzzy about day trading, that I've essentially I've essentially removed my reserve. I removed my safety net because as long as I have my self safety net, then psychologically speaking, when I cycle through these platform challenges, then I know that I can go back to it and redo it again. So psychologically speaking, mentally speaking, there is that part of me, the subconscious, that says whatever I do, it doesn't really matter, or however long it takes, because I can always go back and rebuy again and again and again. But what seems to be uh, reminiscent of what's going on is that human beings, and I am one of those human beings, is that first I am born, okay. Then I start to discover the world. I remember my two kids. I stepped outside of Chandler, Arizona, in a two-story house, and I was standing outside. I don't know. I think I was trying to take a picture of the house outside, and these two kids, a year apart, was too afraid to step outside the front door, and so they were on the living room floor looking out with the doors open because they haven't explored the outside world yet. And so that's the initial progression of the development in the human cycle. And as I started to mature, go through the primary school, the elementary school, the junior high, and high school, even in college, I'm still discovering. It is a lifetime of discovering from one stage to the other as I progress throughout life. And then once I hit about 65 or 70 years old, then it's done for. It's the tail end of a life cycle. And I'm 55. I'm pushing 55. A long time ago in the United States, 55 was a speed limit. And there is even songs about it. And people say, "Well, I can't do 55, right? Because these muscle cars are built to go faster." And so they say something like, "Well, I can't do 55. They got to do faster." That's what they're saying. So as I start to push 55, I realize that I have a limited amount of time because I am a human being. And so the reality of the human cycle uh, is there. And how do I relate that to Mark Twain's little fable about a frog, how to cook a frog? Okay, so essentially, human cycle parallels cooking a frog, and life turns on like the boiler in a hot stew pot where the frog initially sits in lukewarm water, where there's comfort, it is nice and comfortable, and life turns on the burner a little bit, and the water heats up a little bit, heats up a little bit, heats up a little bit, and then the frog becomes so uh, so used to the gradual increasing temperature that it does not realize that the frog has reached age 75. At the age of 75, and the frog, the temperature is about 75 degrees. And the frog is saying, "Oh, it's a little warm in here," but it's by that time the muscles have loosened up, and it has become so acclimated to that higher temperature in water. And then at about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or 80 years old, the frog becomes to become aware. Oh my God, what kind of life have I been living inside this stew pot until 80 degrees Fahrenheit? And then when it steps up a little bit, then it croaks. Frogs croak, but literally it croaks. And that's the end of it. The muscles have been loosened up, the body has boiled, and the frog turns dead bug. And that's it. That's how life is. And that's how things are. And so when I am currently in this situation where I feel that there is safety in the place that I am in, but I realized as each day progresses, my knee starts to buckle, my ankle starts to ache. Every day that I'm spending time as a dishwasher, working these hours, it is it is reminding me each day that 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees Fahrenheit is increasing in my life. And my body at my age 55 is telling me, look, you don't have much time. You either jump out right now, or time will pass and you're not going to be able to jump over that lip of that stew pot. So right now, it's time to burn the bridge. It's time. When I was working as an engineer, boy, you sure know how to burn bridges, they said to me. And I'll tell you what, they're right. I know how to burn bridges. I do. The reason I know that I know how to burn bridges is because I'm essentially an introvert. I grew up by myself. I I took care of myself in most cases, and social settings and interaction with others are extremely claustrophobic. I don't know how people go splunking. People who go caving, and they're like the the caves are so small, their bodies are barely able to squeeze through. It's very difficult to squeeze through, and that is one of the most terrifying kind of a situation that I could ever be in, right? Why am I talking about this? Is that uh, that's how things are. Okay, so I am an extreme introvert, and 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 I know how to burn bridges. Okay, so I'm coming back now. I'm coming back. I am an extreme introvert, which means that it's see I should my future. I thought I was going to be before I became a electrical engineer. I had my mind set on becoming a artist, drawing things, and making a living from selling one painting for a obscene amount of money. Right? That's what I thought I was going to do. But the outside influences caused me to be an engineer, and when I worked as an engineer, I wasn't really fit in to how things are supposed to be, because what I was supposed to be doing, I had no idea. The reality of being an engineer is to each day, it doesn't mean that when school is over and I got my degree, that education stops there. It's a constant progression. Like Warren Buffett said, in the most important thing about investing is investing in you. That's what he said. If you invest enough, you'll be worth $100 billion. That's what he's saying. Invest enough of you, invest in you. That's the investment secret. The investment secret is invest in you. If you have $100 billion, and if you don't invest in yourself, you're going to take that $100 billion and throw it away because you're not investing in yourself. You have to be worth $100 billion to have $100 billion that you're happy with. Otherwise, I currently am going to a buffet that costs $20 and I'm barely making I'm like minimum wage or something like that, okay, close to it, and I'm saving hours to go to a buffet, which is totally illogical. Anyway, so I learned to do certain things because of my inability to focus on what was important and really didn't know because I was essentially running in a hamster a wheel, not being able to invest in myself. I have to invest in myself while other people who are engineers getting second degrees, different disciplines, getting master's degrees, getting business administration degrees, and getting going to seminars and acquiring new information in investing themselves to grow each moment of their lives so that it could frees them up to pursue even more knowledge instead of sitting idly in an isolated situation attempting to do the same thing, but perpetual cycle of it's a perpetual cycle of running in a hamster wheel. And so burning the bridge essentially means not investing in myself. Now now I need to detach this psychological handicap that I have, and because the reality is that I'm very similar to that frog. Even though I'm sitting in that pot and there's really nothing there, just water. That is the only thing that I need in order to be satisfied for quite a while. But as time progresses and my needs increases, then sitting in that water, which may take maybe several years before I realize it, is that I need more. I need something that is going to make it easier on my life as I progress and I start to age. So the comfort and burning the bridge used to be for me was a uh, very scary thing to do because I don't want to be burning bridges with other people who are in the same discipline as I am because word gets around. It's a small world, and that's how the world works. Okay, and if I start burning bridges with one with a lack of knowledge and the inability to perform certain things, then it is essentially self burning the bridges due to the lack of the to the lack or the inability to perform the duties that someone else can do with lesser experience. Here I am at age 55 years old. I cannot possibly compete with individuals who are they're like who just graduated from college because they're so advanced. So so burning the bridges uh, used to be used to be a essentially, for the lack of better words, it was a bad thing, really, essentially. But for now, that's what I need to do. I need to burn bridges. I have to burn it so that I can't go back. I have to burn it. I have to I have to destabilize my I have to destabilize my safety in where I am in order to move into another area. And that I can only do that if I burn the bridge. It's like that movie called Gattaca. It's the movie's it's it's a lesson. It's a it's a lesson that I never got. But it is essentially this main character and another character who is a Olympic class some type of a swimmer. They decided to figure out who can swim out the furthest into the ocean. Okay, they decided to do that. The interesting thing is that in their minds, both of individual minds, they have this thought that I have to save in order to come back. Okay, they have to come back. But in order to win, the main character burnt the bridge. He burnt it. He says, look, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. I'm not. I'm burning the bridge. I'm going out there. Okay, I have to win. Okay, I have to win. I'm not coming back. I'm not. You may think that you're gonna have to come back because you have something to do tomorrow. But me, I have nothing else to do tomorrow. I'm going. I'm burning the bridge. I'm not coming back. Okay, I have to get to another place. Okay, I know that psychologically and physically and on a DNA level that I'm a lesser human being. I'm burning the bridge. I'm not coming back. I'm going. I have a place to go. I don't have anything to do tomorrow. I'm going. I'm not coming back. So I realized that every time I must, this is like over 200. Now I'm going to compile this. Once I become a funded trader and get a payout, I'm going to document this journey that I've taken to demonstrate that this is how I've done it and this is how much it cost me. I plan to do that. I can only do that when I burn this bridge. I have to burn the bridge. I have to burn the bridge to say, look, I'm not coming back. My future is right up front. It's in front of me. I have to go there. And if I cannot reach that, then there's nothing else for me. There's no tomorrow for me. Okay? For the other guy, he has a tomorrow. He has an engagement. He has a date. He's got to meet with other people. He's a social human being and he's got to meet with other people. For me, I have nobody to meet with. I have to get there. I have to burn the bridge. There's no turning back. No turning back. There's 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 no way. There's nothing. This is it. In this other movie called what is it called? The Margin Call or something? Jeremy Irons, the CEO of this trading firm, is flown in because of this crisis of the housing market. And apparently they had these tranches that were they were making massive amount of money. But apparently the risk has gone so much because all these like D credits and C credits and all these were bunched together and made into a B credit. And all the C and Bs were crunched together and made into an A credit. And so they thought that the housing market, because it was so solid for so many years, would never get into a situation where there would be distress in the housing market, which caused the 2008 housing market crash, right? So they were starting to lose money, okay? And he's like in the meeting and says, "Hey, do you hear that?" He says he's looking outside. Do you hear that? Okay. Usually when there's a there's a game. So this game has chairs all around, and people walk around until the music stops. Okay, the music will stop. That's the that's the part of the game. So people walk around and the music stops, and everybody has to grab a chair and sit down. Okay, then there's no more music. It's silent, and whoever is left without a chair is out. Okay, so working off of that, I don't know if it's called a parody or something, but I mean it's so he's working off of it, he's looking out into the wee morning hours. It must be, I think they were talking about like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They were discussing this, and he's Jeremy Irons, the CEO of the trading firm, is saying, "Hey, do you hear that?" I think that's what the dialogue is saying, right? So it said, "Do you hear that?" He says, "Oh, I don't hear anything. I don't hear a darn thing." Okay? And then I think he sits down and says, and then one of his friends, who is also the trading part of the arm of that trading firm, is questioning his uh, questioning his uh, business business. I suppose you could say it's his business etiquette. Okay, it's called business etiquette. Okay, he's saying that he's asking, okay, so you're gonna dump these worthless things onto everybody, and then the CEO looks at him and says, looks at him, right? Obviously, this is business. Okay, this is business. This is business. Okay, this is business. He says, I don't hear anything. Okay, this is it. This is it. That's what he says. Now I see what he's talking about. This is it. He's burning the bridge. He's not coming back. He's gonna cut him. He's gonna. Then he says. He says to his. He says to them. He says, "Look, what is it? What is it gonna take to get rid of it?" And an astute young man. That's why he's like a VP there, right? You gotta be you gotta be astute. You can't be a blockhead like myself, right? You gotta be astute, very very sharp individual who has an incredibly high IQ. He says get rid of it all today. Get rid of it today. Burn the bridge. Burn the bridge. Okay, he says burn the bridge. Well, he didn't use the word burn the bridge, but today. Okay, get rid of it today. Okay, and then the CEO says, well, we got to pay. We got to pay. Okay, we have to pay. And that sums up how I need to do in order to sever the psychological unseen thing. I can look into the mirror. I can look at it over and over and over. I can look at it. I can look for it, seek it. I can try to figure this thing out on a psychological level, but at the end of it, I'm in that ocean. Okay? I'm in that ocean, and unless I burn that bridge, I'm not going to make it. That's the only way, because these trading thing is that you have people who are multiply. We're not just talking about one or two people who are smart, but you have like multiple people who are very very smart getting together, working together to make this work. These are high IQ people who are competing with me. Okay, they're competing with me. I'm competing with them because I'm not following what they're seeing, and I'm getting stomped on and beaten down because I haven't burned the bridge. I am 55 years old. My left knee is starting to hurt. My right ankle is starting to hurt. Okay, and I heard that the heart beats at a certain amount before it just is gone. Right? It's the heart beats for a certain amount. It's gone. Okay. My gray hair is saying to me, look, buddy, the crock pot, the pot where the frog is in, the temperature is being slightly increased each and every day. And you're going to get to the point where you're going to be too old. You're going to be too physically and mentally deficient in order to make this work. This is it. I remember sitting down with a pastor, and he says, "Today is the most important day of your life," he said. Okay, this is the point. This is the point where you cross to the other side. If you don't cross to the other side, I mean, I'm just extrapolating what his thinking is when he said this is the most important day of your life, is that if you don't, commit to it fully and understand this faith thing right now, you'll never get it. You have to take a risk. You have to commit to it, and you want to do it when you're young, so that you can have time to fully appreciate and understand and welcome Jesus Christ into your life. Right? I'm just extrapolating, but that's what he meant. And sure enough, there will be essentially when there is a void of something and something fills in, there is a catastrophic event to absorb whatever the new world is. And until that catastrophic event occurs, and the self is able to absorb it, then it takes a certain amount of time before that happens. So I have to burn the bridge. I have to burn the bridge to let my psychological subconscious side, and I have to tell them, look, buddy, this is it. This is it, Key. This is it. Okay? If you delay this any longer and if you put less energy into it, you're going to perpetuate this over and over and over, and it's not going to end up well. Usually when the frog passes away, it flips over. It's called a dead bug. Bugs usually they lay on their back, and that's why in semiconductor industry, when a chip is placed on the board, is it live bug or dead bug kind of a way, right? That's how it is. You flip it around or you flip it the other way, right? Is the solder being does the solder have it on the top or is it on the bottom, or how does it do that? What is the orientation of this semiconductor thing, right? So this is it, and I have to burn the bridge. I have to burn the bridge so that I give myself enough energy. I make it so that I'm deficient financially, but able to minimally on a level to survive until I can make this thing work. But I want to remind myself every moment of each day. This is very important. And the music is stopped. And unless I make this commitment right now, I can let it slide. There's I remember the earlier days of Chat with Traders when the guy was interviewing, and this he had one of the guests, and apparently he was a software engineer or something. So he was like trading on and off for 8 years, and he lost an enormous amount of money. Okay, and then one day he just woke up and said, "Oh, you know what? Something has to change." So something changed for him. Otherwise, he would have continued over and over, and because he never made it so important in his life. And it says, "Look, I'm gonna burn this bridge." He must have burned this bridge at that time on year number 8. For me, this is year number 4. It took me 4 years to essentially graduate from college, but it took me about 6 months to pass an essay, which made it 4.5 to 5 years. Okay, so here that was the only way to get a degree. I can't get a degree unless I wrote that really really rancid essay. Here I am. I'm an electrical engineer writing reports that are like 10 to 20 pages, and they want me to write some essay about, well, some sort of, I have no idea. Anyway, so here I am. I need to burn the bridge. I know how to do that very well because I'm an introvert. People generally don't like introverts because they're into themselves. They're happy with whatever they're doing. They don't need somebody else to dialogue with to self-satisfy themselves. They can self-satisfy themselves because I can have a lot of fun with rocks and rocks and sticks. I can figure out a lot of things to do with it, right? That's an introvert. So so the reality is now I have to burn the bridge. And that's the only way I'm gonna make it. That's the only way I'm gonna make it. I can reflect. The reason I lost about 200, way more than 200 now, of platform challenges is that I had this security blanket that I was getting paid sufficiently enough over and beyond where my if I was swimming and I was like tired, then my nose would be bobbling where I would be like where I would be like breathing well and not breathing well, right? If I'm bobbing below it, then I would be like inhaling water. But if I was slightly above, then I'd be free. So I need to place myself on a financial level where the water level is right there to remind me every moment of every day that, look, you have to make this work. Okay? You have to make this work. And the only way you're going to do that is by making this day trading thing, this platform thing work. And if I have to remind you, and if I have to remind you, if I have to sever myself, if I have to burn the bridge from that point where the extra income that comes in is keeping you from jumping out of that a boiling hot pot of water, or gradually increasing pot of water, then I have to artificially make myself into the situation where I need to suffer. I need to I need to burn the bridge. I'm not coming back. Okay? There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Okay? There's none. There's no tomorrow. It's got to work. It has to work. There is no tomorrow. Okay? Every challenge that I have, it has to work. I cannot I cannot allow my emotions get to me to just punt it away. I cannot do that. I have to allow myself to put emphasis on each of these. It's like if it's a cat, if I'm a cat, there's 9 lives and it's definite. And if I go beyond that, then it's done. Okay, it's done. It's got to be done. Burn the bridge. If the cats have 9 lives, every life that there is that it exceeds is burning the bridge. You can't come back to it. So this is truly it. Okay, I pray whatever I documented here really really hits home. I really do. I really do. Uh, I've I've matured enough in training and know how the psychological part of it impacts my training. I know it. I know it. Okay, I do things that are so there's legal terminology. Apparently when you're married and your ex-wife is in bed with somebody else at your house, and then you come in and you interrupt what's going on while they're having intercourse, okay? While they're fully naked, right? Then there is a law precedence that allows an individual to shoot them, and then you're you're not you're not as liable as a fully uh fully under the law, because apparently there's a thing called temporary insanity. That's what they call it, because the emotion, and this is legally accepted across the United States. It's a legal precedence that says there is a frailty in the human being. There's a frail part. This is a documented. This is legal This is a legal and binding kind of a situation where a human being is prone to psychological traumatization that causes the individual to be in a temporary insanity, which means that the person essentially just shuts down. All logic and reasoning is gone, and it becomes a subconscious and adrenaline driven and mania kind of a situation that erupts in the human being. And it is a legally it's a legal situation where it is accepted by the United States government, and the psychological community and mind doctors already know about these things, because that's what happens. And I observed this on my own when I'm trading. It's a small but very very representation of what the psychological impact has on my trading, which is, and that's why I called that's why I changed my YouTube channel, called Tilting Tower of Kiso, right? It's tilting. There's a tilt, and I've experienced this like more than 1,000 times. That's why there's like when I was trading the 4 years ago, I was doing the day trading thing with just going trading options. And when I get triggered, I would be up substantially, and I would end up like losing everything, and then I have to replenish it, lose everything, replenish it. It's like a sawtooth, downhill sawtooth kind of situation. I've observed this. It's true. It happens. It's part of life. It's 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 part of being a human being. Okay? It's you can see like road rages everywhere. That's called a temporary insanity. That's what that's what they do. They Some people say, "Oh, I'm just gonna." So a police officer just stops him for like just random like tail light is out. Obviously, the tail light is out, so he pulls him over to give him a ticket. But the person becomes irate and runs off. Now the cascade of domino effect occurs, and one minor incident becomes a catastrophic event that blows out of proportion because of this temporary, momentary mental disposition that causes individuals to lose it. That's what happens every time in day trading. That's why. That's why when I make, I'm just elaborating this because it is so important. That's why. That's why when I'm trading well, and I have these stop losses, then I tend to like become very laxed in installing the stop losses. And what I do is that I trade, and then all of a sudden, what used to just dip a little bit and come back, dip a little bit, and then all of a sudden, I miss out and it just starts going the other way, and I lose, and all of a sudden, like the bull, like a raging bull, looks at this red. I don't know if the color of red has something to do with it, but putting that red on there, it just makes aggravates the whole situation. And I'm very similar to that bull that looks at that red flag and says, "Oh my God, I gotta win it back." I'm on tilt then. It happened to me. It happened to me thousands of times, which caused me to lose over 200 prop firm challenges. Okay, over 200 prop firm challenges. It's a psychological thing. It's a there's a difference between becoming being a mechanical human being, and there's a difference between a emotional human being that I am, and that part of it is that emotion that erupts that causes the tilt. So what I have to do is to tell myself the severity and the gravity of the situation, and say, look, I'm going to you I'm going to make you held accountable. I'm going to hold you accountable of every mistake that you make. And it's going to now cost you a severely. You cannot you cannot expect to lose this challenge and think that there's going to be more chances and more chances to take this and go on forever. You can't do that. You're limited by your age. You're you're 55 years old. People tell you you move like you're 30 years old. No, no, no. I'm paying for that. My ankle hurts. My knee hurts. Okay? I have to ingest lots of calories. I have to ingest a very, very high amount of calories in order to carry on the day, and my body becomes weaker and weaker as I keep aging. Okay? I heard that when you get older, it's more difficult to put on muscles. I accept that to be fact, and there's a reason for that because you're just old. The father upstairs is calling you up. He's saying, "Hey, it's time. What are you gonna do with those massive muscles? I'm just calling you up. Okay, it's time. You had your fun on Earth. Now I'm calling you up. Okay, this is your calling," he says. All right, this is your calling. Okay, even Jesus Christ was called up. Okay, it's your time, right? So I have to burn this bridge. And in order for me to burn this bridge, I'm allowing my subconscious side to know that from now on, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. And everything I do as a day trader right now means so much more. Because right now, me, a frog, swimming around in this very, very comfortable water. Okay? It's very, very comfortable. It's very, very comfortable. It's like sitting in a hot tub, hot springs. Idaho has a lot of hot springs, volcanic actions, I suppose. So when I'm sitting there, initially it's very difficult to get into it because the water is hot. But once I get in there, the snow is falling. It's like January, uh, and it is freezing. There's icicles everywhere. Soon as I take my body out of that hot springs, it becomes unbearable. That is like the frog sitting in a lukewarm water, and the temperature is being raised in that pot. And at a certain point, I'm going to be too old, and I'm not going to be able to extricate myself. I cannot jump out of that pot into safety. I got to jump out of there right now. But in order for me to get jump out of that pot, I have to pass these challenges. I have to get funded, and I have to get a payout. And these payouts has to increase each and every moment until it can replace the physical exertions that I need to do in order to sustain myself from bobbing up and down right where my nose is. I have to do that. I have to burn the bridge. And I pray that I'm making the right decision. And as for that guy in the movie Gattaca, I mean, there's no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.